What's up, you guys? So, I just jumped on to have a little quick chat because I just feel like if this video reaches you randomly for whatever reason right now, I just want to say, no matter what you do, don't break no contact. And I want to share it from my perspective, right? From my experience. Because maybe this could help someone. Because I've watched plenty of videos about no contact and, I understand why it's necessary and, just the cause and effects of breaking it, right? But I haven't really seen anyone, at least not from a woman's perspective especially, express like what you go through and other reasons why, right? So for example, me, going no contact with this particular person, I've done it a bunch of times, first of all. We're always just on and off, in and out of each other's lives. But this particular time that I decided to go no contact was because this person really truly has traumatized me, used and abused me and just, mistreated me in a way that is very hard for me to come back from right now, very hard for me to heal from. I was mishandled in a way to the degree of my self-esteem and self-confidence being broken and just like becoming a shell of myself and just like everything that I know myself to be, I am struggling to find her, and so if you are coming out of a situation like that, right, whether it was a narcissistic relationship, abusive person, toxic abusive person, whatever that relationship was, if it was very unhealthy and very detrimental to your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, and of course, if it was a detrimental against your physical, no-brainer, right? Then this message is for you. So, after that time, I went no contact, and I've been no contact for 3 months. And it was hard, right? But what I noticed was it's harder to keep that person in your life when you know they shouldn't be, right? Because especially if you're dealing with a toxic person, a narcissistic person, what they have the capability of doing is manipulating you if you leave that window open, that line of communication open, if you leave that door open, to make you start to think that it maybe wasn't that bad. Or even if you're like me, I'm an empath, you'll feel guilt because you'll feel like you're turning your back on that person, you're walking away from that person. That's something that I've always struggled with the men in my life who, abused me or mistreated me or took advantage of me in any kind of way. Like when I really loved them and cared about them, it was always hard for me to leave them, to walk away from them, because after they had done me the way they did, because I took on the burden of the guilt, but I don't want them to think I don't love them, I don't want them to feel like, I'm turning my back on him, or that I'm doing this because I don't, and just all these excuses. And it's just like, I get really disappointed with myself, right? But it's important not to be disappointed in yourself. Like, don't even take yourself down that spiral. But just being transparent, I get really disappointed in myself because I get upset. Not disappointed, but so much more upset with myself. I get upset with God because I'd be like, yo, why'd you make me like this? Why'd you make me like this? Like, why do I care? Like, I want to not give a F. Like, why would I ever care about someone who treated me so terribly? Why would I ever care? Why would I ever care? I would love to be the kind of human who, if someone had done some unforeseen, like really terrible things to me, to be like, oh no, baby, you got to go and cut them dead at the root and don't care, and move on. Like, I respect and admire those people so much because it's just like, that's just a different level of respect that you have for yourself and a different level of like regard that you have for yourself, where those clear boundaries get set and you're just like, nah, this is a dub. You could never be in my life again. Like, me on the other hand, and I just think back to all my relationships with men from back young to now, I've always just like, number one, allow the abuse to continue in some form, continue before I walked away or tried to walk away. And then when I walk away, I always came back and let them come back. And I always allow my mind and my heart and my spirit to be manipulated. You know what I'm saying? And so, I just, right now, when I block this person, it's not even so much because like, I don't want to talk to you ever again. I don't want to see you ever again, right? Like even if you haven't arrived to that place, because I know a lot of us haven't, right? No matter how traumatic the experience was, no matter how wrong somebody did us, even still, especially as women, oh my God, empaths, men who are empaths, you still want that person. Like you still love that person. You still just wish things could be different. And so you just know that no contact helps you in more ways than one, because yes, it helps that person from being able to reach out to you and have a clear line of contact with you, to be able to manipulate you and keep you under their spell. But what I've learned is when I kept the contact open, knowing that it should be closed, I ruminated on it all. I went back and forth with myself. I was always in conflict internally with myself. I was always at war with myself about it. Like, but you shouldn't be talking to him. But then but then I miss him. And then you shouldn't. Like, and I did this back and forth dance with myself all the time, to the point where that became stressful and emotional, distressing and taxing, because it's just like, just fucking, excuse my language, just freaking block him and move on. And I don't mean and move on like get over it. I mean just like block him and move on. Like go through the pain. You're gonna hurt regardless. Like especially if it's a person where you feel like you gotta block or even having to contemplate blocking, that means that they're hurting you. That means that in some way, shape, or form, even being in contact with this person or allowing this person to remain in your life is hurting you in some way. That's just the facts. Because if not, you would have no reason or desire to block them, or even be at conflict with yourself about them having access to you. So them, for whatever reason it may be, them being a part of your life and having access to you is harming you in some way, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, whatever it may be, right? And so that's why it's super important to block, right? But then on the flip side, if you're anything like me, where you already are harder on yourself and you're giving yourself all these, guilt trips and things like that, blocking them, will allow you to also not fall into that spiral where you're texting and it's just like, hey, no contact. No contact is allowing you also to not fall into toxic patterns and you be the one reaching out and texting them, and then knowing you don't really need to be having them in your life, but then you miss them, and so you're texting them or texting her, it's for you too. Blocking you is for you too. And actually, I'm gonna insert a clip. It's very quick. It's like 30 seconds of this girl who YouTube page I follow. She says something like, blocking, when I block them, it's for me. It ain't even about them. And I love this. So I'm gonna drop it right here. Be right back.
When I decide to block someone, I was just saying that when I decide to block someone, it's like, it's not a them thing, it's a me thing, because we have to take responsibility for the things that we attract and create in our realities. And so if I feel like someone is not treating me the way I deserve to be treated, then I first have to acknowledge that I am in a reality that I don't want to be in, and that I am the creator of this reality. And so for some reason, there's some part of me that thought it was acceptable to create this. And so when I block a nigga, it's like me blocking off that part of me that doesn't believe in me, that part of me that still has low self-esteem, that part of me that has limiting beliefs, that part of me that is always in doubt. And I have to block that person because they are a manifestation of those feelings. And so I have to first block that and address why I attracted that in the first place, why I attracted and created that reality in the first place.
Yo, and that resonates with me so much, because I'm like, yo, it ain't even about him, and so when I would break no contact, or he would break no contact, coming around looking for me, things like that, to get through to me and get my attention, it's just like, he's like, yo, why you gotta block me? Why you gotta XYZ? And I'm just like, yo, it's not even about you at this point. It's about me at this point. Like, when I block you, like she said, it's just about me blocking those things within me, that the self-doubt, the lack of self-love, like all these things within me that tell me that it's okay to create this kind of reality or have this kind of experience, that it's okay to allow somebody, like, I don't like this. I don't want this. I know I don't like this. I know I don't want this. No matter what the body, the human is, and who that human may be to you, and the body, the flesh, wants and desires. Internally in your spirit, in your heart of hearts, and your just everything in your organs, that this is not what I want for myself. And no contact. That is why it's so important. And so I'm telling you, don't break no contact. No matter how hard it is. Like, you're going to have your tough days, and and I'm telling you this as I kind of did break it, and I'm in regret now, right? Because now I'm spiraling in that back and forth conflict, right? So what happened was I changed my number, which is the craziest part. Changed my number. Like, I went full throttle, like, I'm doing this thing. Like, I'm out of here. And I was very proud of myself for that, because that was like, I'm very serious, I'm not on social media, I have been off of it for a long while now, almost a year, because I was going through such traumatic experiences in that relationship with this person, which was just like turning me into, like, it was just lowering my vibrations and just lowering my self-esteem and just backing me up against a wall where I just didn't even know how to interact and be myself anymore. And I just kind of like deactivated all my social medias and everything. So I'm already just like been in isolation, right? And so you can't reach me on no social media. You can't find me on social media. I didn't change my number. The only thing this person was able to do was just pull up to my house, right? And for 3 months, it was nice and quiet, and he didn't, and then he did. And the reason why I said no matter how hard it gets is because the crazy thing about it is, on the day that he pulled up to my house, that morning, for whatever reason, it was an energy that was being created, apparently, right? I was hysterical that morning. I remember dropping my daughter to school and just driving home, just being in pain, just being like, yo, God, why is he on my mind? Like, I hadn't cried over this. It had been weeks, because I was feeling better, after being no contact for 3 months. I was just starting to feel better. It had been weeks since I had cried over him. I always think of him and things like that, but like, just being like in that space of like sadness about him, it had been weeks and weeks. And then, but for whatever reason, this morning, I was in a downward spiral, and I was like, God, why? Like, why can't I let him go? Like, I miss him, I want him, I need him, I want to see him, about all this stuff, but I'm just talking to God about it. No intentions on breaking no contact or nothing. I'm continuing on my journey. I get home, and I'm just in a slump that morning. And it was the first time I've been in a slump like that for a while. So I allowed myself to be. I got into bed, and I'm laying there, and I kid you not, about 2 hours later, I'm hearing banging on my door, knocking on my door. And instantly, my whole body knew it was him. My whole body knew it was him. Everything in me knew it was him. And I go to my door, I go downstairs, and I'm looking at the peephole. He's got it covered. And I'm like, who is it? And he tried to act like he was the maintenance man, but then he announced himself like, man, Lena, just open the door. And I'm like, wow. And I didn't open the door at that point, right? But because I just didn't understand what it was. I was like, yo, it's literally like I summoned him, because I was literally just crying a couple hours ahead about him and just wanting him and missing him and just wondering about him and just hoping everything's okay. And he shows up at my door. So, that was a crazy experience for me, because I felt like, I literally summoned him. And me and this person have a history of doing this, actually. So not surprised, but just like blown away at the same time. I don't open the door. I don't let him in, but I felt guilty about it later on that day. I'm like, yo, I don't feel good about it. Like, I feel guilty about it. Like, I start doing that to myself, oh, what if he's not okay? What if this was my last chance to see him? Like, all this crazy stuff, right? And I reach out to him. Hey, are you okay? All these things. And so Next thing you know, we got open contact, and he's coming around the house, and he's just like, yo, I just, just stop blocking me out of your life. Like, you don't got to mess with me. We could just be friends. I just want to know. And the reality is, that works on me at the time, right? It worked because, first of all, you know what you went through, right? You know what you've been going through in that time where you're not around that person, you're not able to talk to that person, and you miss that person, and you want it to be that person. You want things to be different, and it's still a little fresh for you, right? And so, in that vulnerable moment, especially when a person is like showing up with that energy that you think you want, like coming to look for you and knocking on your door and just, trying to get you back, the flesh and the human side of you, it feels good. You want that, right? From the person that you feel you love so much. So in the moment it works, and I stay in contact for a couple weeks, and, we had a couple, intimate moments, and, but every day I was conflicted. Every day I was conflicted because I knew what I went through. I knew what I went through during that no contact, to pull myself up off the floor, like what my family and friends who poured into me, my relationship with God got better, I'm in therapy, I'm changing my lifestyle. Like, I'm just going through all these changes. Like, I remember like purging from that version of me and that relationship. I remember how painful it was. I remember what I went through, how heartbroken, how devastated I was, how much deeply this person hurt me and pushed me like to the point of no return, where I had to say, I'm changing my number. I'm never talking to him again. Like, damage was done to me. And I just was in conflict with myself because it's just like, yo, on no level should I have a relationship with this person. So, not to be too long-winded, but also want to say to you out there, if this reaches you and this is something you needed to hear, do not, under no circumstances, break no contact, because also, listen, it doesn't get better. Like, it doesn't get better. It only gets worse. That person is showing up for their own ulterior motives. Like, he didn't show up at my door with flowers and like a changed person. Like, he just showed up with his same routine, the same song and dance that he knew would work, because it always has, right? And it's like, you got to change the narrative. Like, you got to be stronger for yourself. But this is only for the people who really do want to change. Like, if you really want something different, if you really want a better experience, a new and different experience, this is for you. It's only for you. If you cool and you're comfortable with that relationship and you really don't really want nothing better for yourself, you're just trying to get them to chase you and blah, 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 this message is not for you. These are for the people who truly want to be done with that and really want to get to the other side and have better experiences and better relationships and like truly, genuinely, sincerely move on from that person, that relationship. Just don't break the no contact. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated. Don't allow yourself to feel guilty. Lee Hammock, I had a coaching session with him. Really great guy who is a narcissist and self-aware and has been diagnosed, but he is very informative and helpful to the community. I had a session with him, and he said to me, when I told him how disappointed I was that I broke the no contact, he said, listen, that's not going to do you any justice. He's like, don't waste your energy, going like about that, because then he said what happens is, then if you settle for like, oh well, you next thing you know, well, I already did it, so might as well stay here. And he's like, no. He's like, what you need to do is chuck it up as, hey, I had a weak moment, I slipped up, but that's it. Cut it back off and keep moving on your journey. Don't stay there. Because then it'll be another year of crazy nonsense, of emotional distress, of you not growing. You know what I'm saying? And for me, that's the most important part, is just to grow from this part of myself, this version of myself that allows myself to participate in this experience. I no longer want it for myself. And I continue to say that I want better experiences and better relationships with men and things like that, but I won't let this person go. And I get mad at God. I get really upset with God because I'm like, hey, look, where's my person? You know, like, I'm a really great person. I know I am. I'm a really great woman. I have so much to offer. Where's my person? But then I have to think and be like, yo, well, have you really truly let go? Have you really truly moved on? Have you really truly healed from this, where to the degree where you will not go back? And I'm gonna tell you something. There's a part of me that tries to avoid it and not acknowledge it, but there's a part of me that really does believe that God sent him to my door that morning, not the devil. I was crying to God, and on all days of all the days, he shows up at my door. I do feel that was a test for God to say, all right, let's see. And he showed up, and it's to see how I would handle it. And initially I handled it well, but ultimately I let him in, right? So more tests like that will show up, where you're going to take your time. You're going to be in your no contact, and then this person is going to show up again for you to be able to go to see if you're going to be able to be like, no more, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? So for me, shutting down the contact again 2 weeks later, after really just trying to keep see if I could maneuver with that person in my world, and knowing that, hey, this is not the best person for you. Not even as a friend. This person's just not a good person towards you, has not been good to you. Why would you want this person to be your friend? This is not your friend. You know what I'm saying? And you got to let this person go. You got to let them live their life. You can love them, but that doesn't mean they have to be a part of your life for you to love them. You can always have love for them, hold space for them in your heart, wish them well, pray for them. You know, when you think of them, think positive well wishes of them on their journey in life, but you don't have to stay there. So I hope that this message is reaching someone who is really struggling with it, and it's just like, I don't know what to do. And going back and forth with yourself. If have the contact open and you're in conflict, block, shut it down, go no contact. If you're already no contact and you're conflicting with yourself because you think you missed a person and you're feeling guilt and you want to talk to them, shut it down. Do not open up contact. Stay no contact. I promise you that if anybody that's struggling like that with yourself, it's because you're not supposed to have this person in your life. That's just the reality. Anyone that is truly good for you, or, you know, I'm not talking about simple mistakes with normal people who make simple mistakes and accidents happen, and you know, everybody's situation is different, but you know in your core when it's not right with your soul, or when it's not well with your soul, with your spirit. You know who I'm talking to. You know what I'm talking about. That's who I'm talking to. Shut it down. Shut it down. And I'll share something else that helps me. We're not going to be this young forever. We're not going to, life goes on. I only have my life to live, and who knows how long that's going to be, you know, and I won't be this young forever. And it's just like, what is the experience that I want to have? Is this the experience I want to have? Do I want to spend another year, 5 years, 10 years of my life sad and moping and heartbroken and hurt over the same scenario over and over and over again? And the answer is no. So I'm just making a choice for myself, no matter how hard it is, to move past this, to move past this person, to let this person go. And you want to know something else, which that's probably a whole nother video in regards to letting go, which I can elaborate more on, but I'll just say this and I'll leave you with this. Letting go isn't even about the other person anymore. At some point, you got to make it about yourself. No matter what this person's done to you, no matter how toxic this person may have been, abusive this person may have been, at some point, you just got to figure out why. Like, I wouldn't care if this person was the best person in the world. This is an unhealthy attachment. Anybody that I can't let go of like this, that I'm holding on to for dear life like this, stressed to the highest power because I'm conflicted with my spirit about not wanting to release them, is unhealthy. And that's something I got to work on within myself. Like, we've got to learn to be individuals who can love people, but not attach ourselves to people, possess people, like that's a whole nother topic. But I just wanted to share this with everyone really quickly. Like, hey, listen, I know it's hard. I know it's tough. It's not going to be easy. You're going to cry. You're going to go through so many different grieving stages. You're going to have days where you miss the person, where you want the person, where you want to talk to them, where you want to share your experiences with them. But stay no contact. Allow zero access to them. Don't leave a door open on social media. All these people that are like, oh, I don't care. I want them to see how I'm glowing up. Then cool. That means you ain't been through no real trauma with it. Like, you good. Like, you don't care. This not for you. This not for the people who don't care. This is for the people who are really traumatized and really having a tough, hard time, and know that this situation is something that needs to be released from their spirit. If that is you I'm talking to, don't leave a door open, not a window open, not Facebook, Instagram, text message. If you can change your number, change it. But I'm going to be honest, I don't even recommend doing that, because there's a strong possibility that you're going to give it to that person. So just be strong enough to block them. If they're texting you with different numbers, don't even respond. It's them, block them. If you accidentally pick up their call, hang up on them. Like, eventually it'll stop. It'll start, and it'll stop, and it'll start. But eventually you'll get stronger, and eventually it'll become a joke to you. That's what my hope is for myself, right? If they're showing up at your house, don't let them in. Don't let them in. And this is one of the things somebody told me, which I'm only sharing this to people who are in violent situations. Like, if you don't feel like you're in a violent situation, you don't have to go this far. But if you know this person is beating your behind and they're violent, you were suffering physical abuse, call the cops if they show up to your house. Because if they get in there, or if they wait for you to come out, who knows what may happen, right? But also, the person probably didn't abuse you, and they just want what they want, and they're mad that they can't have you, and they might switch up on you. And so a lot of my friends were very upset with me because I didn't choose to go to that extent, and I just didn't feel it was necessary, and I hope and pray that it is never going to be necessary. I'm still struggling with the abuse, to the point where sometimes I don't know, is it abuse? Is it not abuse? Like, I'm going through some things with that. I'm still dealing with that. I know that it is abuse, right? I know that it's not right, but like, it's not that I don't take it serious. I just feel there's a part of me that allows these things to go on in my life where it's just normal, where I treat it like it's not really a big deal. And then I have this love, and it's crazy. And we can talk deeper and have more conversations and unpack this stuff more. I just want to encourage you, don't break contact. I mean, just don't stay no contact. And listen, I'm actually in this with you. As I'm not somebody that's posting a video telling you like, hey, top 5 things I did to, hey, this is what I'm going through currently in the moment. This is what I'm dealing with. This is how I'm getting through it. I'm in therapy, have a great therapist. Like I told you guys, if any of you guys been on YouTube or TikTok researching narcissists, you're going to see Lee Hammock pop up everywhere all the time. I've been following his stuff for a good year now. Listen, I paid for sessions with him. If you can afford to do that, I highly recommend it, because he is no better person that could really tell you and suggest you and give you great advice. But just do all the things for yourself to get through this time, and trust yourself, and also know that you may slip up, you may have weak moments, you may make a mistake, but don't stay in it. So like me slipping up, breaking the no contact, I'm choosing not to stay in it. Hey, I slipped up, it was a weak moment, and that was the advice with Lee. He's like, hey, don't spiral in that, don't stay in that. Get it. All right, you messed up. Get out. He said something like David Ramsey calls it stupid tax, where I, change my number and then I reach out to the man. He's like, you got to pay the stupid tax sometimes. It just is what it is. But don't stay there. Chuck that up. Take it on the chin. Keep it moving. So best of luck. Best of wishes to everyone. Listen, I'm not a life coach. I'm not a therapist. But I don't mind, if you're in the comments and you just, want to share your experience, or you have questions, anything I can do or say that may be helpful to you, I'm definitely open to it. All right. Thank you guys for listening to me. you know, and I really do hope that if whatever you're going through out there, that you are strong enough and trust yourself to get through it, and just do the work, do the things. Like that's all I'm trying to do as well. I know it's hard, I know it's tough, but trust me, we got this.